And this is a multi-layered situation. But first, Teamsters released the presidential endorsement polling data. For the past year, the Teamsters Union has pledged to conduct the most inclusive, democratic, and transparent presidential endorsement process in the history of our 121-year-old organization. And today, we are delivering on that promise to our members, said Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien. Our members of the union and their voices and opinions must be at the forefront of everything the Teamsters do. Our final decision on a possible presidential endorsement will not be made lightly. So this was done September 18th, 2024. As you all know, they decided not to endorse anybody. Yeah. So, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here. Part of the reason why there's a lot to unpack is because of these goddamn polls. So this is whenever they thought Biden was going to be in power. Biden was actually winning pretty handily. 44% Biden, 36% Trump, 5%, almost 6% RFK, and West is on here. For some reason, Jill Stein isn't on here. I don't know why. You would think that the union, Teamsters Union would be like considering Jill Stein, but whatever. After Harris joined, Harris at 31%, Trump at 58%, undecided at 6%, don't know at 5%. I don't know, like they just decided to take, I guess because we're getting closer to the election. Oh, maybe because at this point when they conducted this poll, perhaps RFK dropped out the race. But once again, West and Jill Stein are in the race, and Jill Stein does have the ability to, technically speaking, can win. So it should have. But this 58% is crazy. That's crazy. I don't know if that's obviously part of that swing is from Kamala dropping out, from Joe Biden dropping out, and they don't like Kamala for some reason. I don't know why. That's a big ass difference. But 58%, that sounds like so they did make a choice. But the Teamsters Union, they did not endorse a candidate. I don't know how. Listen, guys, if you wanted to make a statement, because that's what everybody's saying, they wanted to make a statement. Teamsters Union, and we're going to look at an interview real quick because they're going to explain their decision. But if you wanted to make a statement, I would have endorsed Jill Stein. That would have been a huge statement. But, ladies and gentlemen, if 58% of your organization supported endorsing a candidate, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong here, it is the obligation of the organization's leaders to follow the wishes of the majority of that organization. Right? It don't matter if you like Trump. I don't like Trump. But if I'm part of this organization and 58% are like, yeah, like, because it's supposed to be a democracy, more or less. Right? That's kind of the whole point of these type of organizations. It's to make sure that everyone feels heard and they feel seen, that their decisions are, their decisions and their prerogatives are being respected, and that they respect each other's. So if Trump got 58%, how the hell is your conclusion? Yeah, we just not gonna endorse anybody. And I meant to look this up, and I'm gonna look it up right now for y'all. Because we need to know a list of Teamsters presidential endorsements in the past. I need to know, because saying that you're not going to endorse anybody makes me believe. Hold on, let me see. Hold up. Oh man, that's crazy. Apparently recently they endorsed Adam Schiff. That's wild. I mean, I know the Teamsters, generally. That's kind of my point. Teamsters, if I'm not mistaken, generally endorse Democrats. And so the union poll, for everybody who's curious, actually, I'll pull this up for you guys. Let me pull this up. Because we need some answers. I'm going to zoom in so everybody can see this. So we're going to get to the bottom of this. Juntos. Estamos juntos. So, union poll of 1.3 million members shows they prefer Trump over Harris by 59.6%. That was a final. Damn, to 34%. Teamsters have endorsed. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Teamsters haven't. I just wanted to confirm. I ain't want to lie to y'all. Teamsters have endorsed every Democratic candidate for president since 2000. This is the first time since 1996 the union is not making an endorsement. In the 1996 situation, makes a whole lot of sense, if you all recall. A lot of drama. I'm going to leave it at that from 1996. So it says that the International Brotherhood of Teamsters said on Wednesday that the union will not endorse any U.S. presidential candidate, despite polling that shows the majority of members backed Republican candidate Donald Trump over Democrat Kamala Harris. 1.3 million member union, which represents truck drivers, a wide range of other workers, ranging from airline pilots to zookeepers, had released a national electronic poll of its members Wednesday that showed rank and file members prefer the former president over Vice President Harris by 59.6% to 34%. The Teamsters have endorsed every Democratic candidate for president since 2000, but have on occasion endorsed Republicans, including President Ronald Reagan in 1984 and Vice President George H.W. Bush in 1988. So effectively, I mean, about a Democrat as a Republican get, but whatever. It is the first time since 1996 the union is not making an endorsement. So the most important part is, for the first time so the Republican Party, as you all know, used to be considered the working class party. So this actually does make sense that they endorse Reagan and Bush. But for the first time in 24 years, they're not endorsing a Democrat. And obviously, they're choosing to ignore the members' endorsement of Trump. Is anybody find that to be a little bit problematic? Anybody? So what we're going to do is, really quick, we're going to hear from the leadership, because I'm going to give them a chance. So we're going to listen to the leadership, and we're going to get down to the bottom of this, because we need explanations. How are you going to ignore the votes of 1.3 million people? Boy, that is a small city. That is a small city. If they were voting for mayor, Trump would have won with a mandate to do whatever the hell he wanted to. And they're just like, yeah, we know 60% of our members wanted Trump, but nah. Illusion of choice, though, right?
I've been looking forward to this interview for some time, especially given the last-minute drama. I'm talking about a chat with Sean O'Brien. He is the Teamsters General President. We've talked to him many times over the years, and he speaks his mind. That's why I'm a little surprised by this news today that the Teamsters will not be officially endorsing a presidential candidate. So I thought to myself, Neil, when you talk to Sean, ask him how a guy who was invited to speak before Republicans at their convention but didn't get the same honor at the Democratic convention could decide not to support the Republican nominee. And here he is, Sean O'Brien. Good to have you, Sean. Why not? Why not Donald Trump?
How are you, sir? Well, listen, we interviewed both candidates, and we were seeking commitments from both candidates, and we couldn't get solid commitments on our core issues like the PRO Act, like vetoing national right to work, like staying out of labor disputes and not trying to force any contracts on us, like what happened to our brothers and sisters in the rail industry. We didn't get solid commitments from either candidate, which was a major factor in our decision as a General Executive Board not to endorse any candidate. However, we did a lot of polling, as you know, and the polling leaned heavily toward.
Did y'all just hear that shit? That in fact that affected our decision as the executive board. Why did you even ask everybody then? So you decided on behalf. Now, don't get me wrong. Once again, if you didn't want to endorse either candidate because they're full of shit, I'm not even gonna be mad at you about that. I am mad that y'all didn't endorse Jill Stein, and this wasn't even consideration. Because it should have, with 1.3 million people participating, I feel like that should have been a huge consideration. Jill Stein. That should have been. So that's already kind of undercutting the democratic process here. But for y'all to take that within your own hands is the problem that some people have with unions right now. Is that it's you're not really unions. It's just as political as politics. It's just as political as a corporation. It's like I can have a small share in something and you're telling me every shareholder matters, every shareholder's voice matters, but really you don't give a damn if I'm not sitting on that board of directors or if I'm not the primary shareholder. I would have more respect, even as somebody who's going to vote for Jill Stein is not voting for Trump. I would have way more respect for that board if they went by the wishes of their members. Because of everything that we're experiencing and seeing today. It's like every time the people are screaming, we want one thing, they're literally doing the opposite. Or they're hedging, or they're bullshitting, or they're ignoring us. And this is just yet another example of another powerful institution, another influential institution, setting another standard, another precedent of, yeah, the people might want this, but fuck the people. We don't really care what they want. We're going to do what we want to. Super Teamsters Sewing Show. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thanks, Niko. Keep dropping truth. Bakersfield, California. Appreciate you. Let's continue. I hope that, I'm telling you, this don't really sound like a good reason so far, but we're going to give him a chance.
Towards former President Trump. So that tells you that
very heavily, Sean. And I'm just wondering, do you look disconnected from your members?
No, we're definitely not disconnected from our members because, look, we did extensive poll.
60%, bro. 60%. Yeah, you're a little disconnected from your fucking members, bro. You're a little disconnected. If you would have, once again, because my thing, why did you do the poll? Because you're like, we had the meeting and this meeting was actually the ultimate deciding factor on who we decided to endorse, which was nobody. So why did you even do the poll? Why did you do the poll if it didn't matter? Because all you did by showing this poll is basically put on display how disconnected you are and your board is from the rest of your people.
That was important. Our goal as leaders, as union leaders, as leader of the Teamsters, is to provide the ability for people to have a voice and to provide credible information. And we cannot dictate to our members. Our members are sophisticated. They're going to make their own decisions. But this is a bigger problem. You know, the Democrats have always taken for granted that they're going to get our vote no matter what. And the Republicans fancy themselves as the working people's party. I think right now both sides have to take a step back and really reevaluate what their commitment is to working people.
I agree with that. I do. Okay. And all that might be true. But if the Republicans have been taking it for granted, I'm sure that Trump isn't going to, because that's just not Trump's way to guarantee a bunch of shit to a bunch of people. Like, that's just not who he is. He's always about negotiating and keeping, he likes to keep the conversation open, as it were, as a businessman would. Okay, cool. Y'all endorse Joe Biden. It's a union buster, a historic union buster. Oh, they've always taken our vote for granted. It feels to me, and y'all correct me if y'all think I'm wrong here. It feels to me that the only reason you didn't endorse Kamala is because your people endorsed Trump. Because you endorsed Biden last year, you conducted the first poll with the understanding that Joe Biden was going to be the presidential nominee. Obviously, that changed. Biden was winning. It's like with the Teamster members. But one of the examples he gave is forcing contracts onto us, union, busting like how Joe Biden got involved with the railroad worker situation. Y'all remember that? And like, if that was the case, why didn't you come out and say, look, this is what our demands are. We're gonna meet with both of y'all, and until someone agrees to these demands, we're not endorsing anybody. We're gonna do a poll, but that's just supplementary. This is what it is. This is how we're gonna handle it. If you don't, and we're gonna change the standard that has been set when dealing with both of you guys. That's not what happened. It seems like the only reason you're not endorsing anybody is because your people decided they wanted Trump. And in my humble opinion, as somebody who has no skin in this particular game, that is wrong. And you're now trying to work backwards from a conclusion that you and your little board members made as to why you undercut the will of your union members.
And that's what we did in this process.
All right, but it does make me wonder when 2 out of 3 of your members prefer Donald Trump. Now, it's a telephone survey, I grant that, but that trend has been around for a while where members tend to favor more the Republican candidate than the Democratic candidate. But that's a pretty overwhelming shutout right there. So
Well, I think
60%.
did that come into your thinking or no?
We evaluated everything. We evaluated the straw poll, which was done in person, which, as you know, when you have an audience, you can influence that audience. We figured that was going to lean heavily towards President Biden, and it didn't lean heavily towards him. And then we did the poll where 40,000 of our members participated in that. That's a 60% poll, the other 58% poll that you see. And then we did the research-based polls. And 2 out of those 3 polls leaned Republican. So again, I'll get back to, there's a lot of work that got to be done. Our members are paying attention, and again, no endorsement.
Oh, so you say your members are paying attention. You say that they're paying attention, but you won't respect their wishes. Like, then why? Why did you spend all that money on all these polls? And they went through thorough detail. It's like they were looking for, they put all these polls out there and they use all these different methodologies to get these results. And like, they did not like what they got. And they spent this money trying to get a result that they wanted, like the board members wanted, and they just never got it. And so they're like, yeah, fuck it. We're just not going to endorse it. We're not going to endorse anybody then. And we're going to work backwards from our conclusion as to how we came to this decision that makes no sense to anybody who's looking from the outside in.
I think sends a message to both parties that if they truly want to support working people, they have to reevaluate it and understand that nothing is given, it is earned.
20 years y'all gave it, 24. Well, 20 years. 20 years y'all gave it to Democrats. Y'all endorsed Adam Schiff, guys. Adam Schiff. Or Adam Schiff. Or Adam Shifty, rather. Because his eyes is basically as shifty as a snake's. Adam Schiff. You can't be like, nothing's given when you've been giving endorsement to union busters like Joe Biden already. You already did it. It happened already. You can't be like, yeah, man, so this party that is known, that the party that sent all of our jobs overseas, not all of them, obviously, but a good amount of them, right? The Democratic Party has damn near been the doom at the federal level, has damn near been the doom of what have traditionally been considered to be union jobs. Like when we're talking about the manufacturing industry, that was like the backbone of union jobs back in the day. Yeah, how many millions of jobs got sent overseas and y'all just decided to reward them with blind loyalty for 20 years? And then you got the audacity to sit up here and say nothing is given in the one instance you want to ignore your members. It basically just, to me, seems like, and what's also crazy, because if this interviewer is telling the truth, this guy was even invited to speak at the Republican convention, at Trump's convention. Democrats didn't even invite him. They're like, yeah, nah, bro. You know what time it is. You're supposed to go ahead and put out lever for your dog. That's how Democrats treated him. So even with like the Republicans letting y'all down in some instances, okay, once again, I feel like it's not any more or less than Democrats have. Well, probably a little bit less because, NAFTA. But at least the Republicans gave you a platform, listened to you, put you in front and center to let you know their demands are, to let them know what your demands are. Democrats gave you they treated you like you was Palestinian, dog. So in my opinion, if you really, really, truly wanted to make a statement, you should have endorsed Jill Stein. Am I crazy for saying that? Am I crazy for thinking like that would have been the biggest statement that you could have made? They have, because 1.3 million vote, like that's crazy. I didn't even know the Teamsters Union was that big, guys. 1.3 million is a city. A city with a significant economy. Think about it like this: 1.3 million voters in in a popular vote situation could determine the outcome of an election. And given how many of those 1.3 million voters are in swing states, because the union states are usually states that have unions outside of California, in New York, a lot of those people live in swing states that can go either way. So like that many people could swing an election. And when two people did not give you the assurances that you deserved, that you were asking for as a major representative demographic of the voter base, you could have went to Jill Stein and be like, if y'all don't want to play ball, I'm going to get down with my girl Jill and Butch. Maybe y'all play ball then. After y'all lose a million votes, obviously not a million would vote for them, but maybe 500,000 would. Because if they made that announcement about Jill Stein, how many of them do you think would begin to look into Jill Stein? All of a sudden, Jill Stein got a whole nother campaign trail she has to go on because she's learning that she's getting endorsed by the Teamsters, and now she's getting invited to speak at Teamsters, local Teamsters meeting and events, national Teamsters events, getting invited by union members all over the country. Because if the Teamsters endorsed her, maybe we should look into her. That's a pretty significant deviation from the norm. But instead, they took the coward's way out. The board took the coward's way out, and they ignored their own members. Which is the problem with not just unions, but powerful institutions in general in the United States. This is the same shit you see with NGOs. This is the same shit you see with 501c4s. Like I said, I worked for the Working Families Party in New York, right? The National Working Family Party's board conducted a poll within the organization. Because a lot of the times, back in the day, they would endorse a Democratic primary candidate as it became clear there was only going to be 2 or 3 left. Obviously, as you know, in 2016, it came down to Bernie and Hillary. They conducted a poll as if they were going to actually respect the results of that poll and make the endorsement. Bernie Sanders won. I mean, it was a Working Families Party, and at the time, to be fair, the Working Families Party was more or less progressive. Bernie won and was kind of overwhelming. And you know what they decided instead? Yeah, we're just not going to endorse anybody. That's what they said. We were like, then why the fuck? We had to stay after work, bro. You know, we was out there canvassing all day. It's cold as hell in New York. We stayed after work to vote in this poll, to do the counts and everything, make sure everybody's voice got heard, because we had to wait till everybody got back. Make sure that nobody was doing, counting and recounting. They did. We did all this work to vote. Bernie won. And they were like, yeah, nah. Sorry, man. We got donors to worry about. They were hoping that the results would reflect what the conclusion that they wanted. But when that conclusion did not come into fruition, they were like, yeah, we're just going to stay out of it then. But then, of course, after the primary was over, it was immediate. No demands from Hillary, just an endorsement immediately. With no demands. But within a lot of these organizations, as you'll find, they don't endorse anymore to lend their credibility necessarily. Right? They endorse for donations. They endorse for email listings because the Democratic Party will share that shit with them to help fundraise. Like if you want to help. So if Kamala, for example, wants the let's just say Extinction Rebellion. If she wants them, they'll hit the board members will strike a deal. They get that email list from the Democratic Party. Now the Extinction, I'm just using this as a random example. This is not real. I mean, they are both real, but the example is theoretical. The Extinction Rebellion would get that list, which is money. Data is money. Data is fundraisers. Data is dollars. And Kamala Harris gets that endorsement. And it lets everybody else who's with Kamala Harris, part of that little mafia network, know, okay, we can trust those people at Extinction Rebellion. We can trust the people at the top. Not fuck the rest of everybody else. We can trust those board members. And they work together going forward. That's how it works. Endorsements from these institutions don't really mean shit anymore. It's an opportunity for the institution, not necessarily an opportunity for the candidate. So if you really wanted to make a statement, in my humble opinion, you should have endorsed Jill Stein. You disingenuous piece of shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's only you just straight up said fuck everybody. I just can't believe you just ignored 60% of your union members. That is nuts.